So, in this latest season of Evil, we find Kristen more isolated from her family than ever before, if that's possible. How is she going to cope with Andy's presumed departure on top of everything else that's crumbling around her?
Well, I think that um, Kristen has two choices at the start of this season, which is, when Leland uh, presents her with the fact that they are having a child. I think either you're going to go completely insane and just admit defeat and your life is over, or you're going to laugh and keep going. And I think we've gotten to know Kristen as someone who's very resilient, and she chooses the latter. And Andy going to this asylum is, I guess, another curveball that is being thrown at her. She doesn't know the real reason, what is going on with him, but she's managed to parent her children on her own before. Been away a lot. She's basically been a single mom for a long time, and she's strong, and she'll just make it work.
Gotta go. You kind of touched upon it a little bit, but Leland has successfully swiped Kristen's ovum to bring about the Antichrist. And while she did laugh, how will this affect her moving forward on a deeper level?
Um, well, I mean, it's obviously going to affect her, maybe not in the way that Leland hopes. I don't think she believes that this child is the Antichrist. I think she believes this is the child, I mean, her biological child by, let's say, a rapist,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a form of rape.
Absolutely.
And I guess there are children in the world that are born out of such a situation, maybe slightly different, that become wonderful children because they've been loved and so I think it's an interesting nurture nature debate where clearly Leland is a psychopath. Um, but Kristen does not believe that this child is the Antichrist. I think she tries to rationalize it in a way where she just thinks, there are people who donate their eggs, for instance, and they become somebody else's child. So I think she tries to sort of keep it there, where it's like, okay, this happened. It is awful. I hope this child will be okay, but it's not my responsibility. Um, But we've seen in this last episode that, Cheryl obviously has some tricks up her sleeve and has now introduced, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched episode 5 of season 4, but has now told my girls that this little baby, Timothy, is their brother. So you can expect to see more of little Timmy.
Okay. How will, I guess, the relationships develop and blossom and kind of carry forward with all the different,
Yeah.
interconnecting?
Well, I think, with everything that has happened with Kristen, she considers her work sort of a safe space, which is slightly ironic because obviously her work is very much not safe sometimes. And potentially the reason that she's in this mess in the first place, because that's where she met Leland and everything. Um, so, but I think the friendship between David, Kristen, and Ben has deepened as, in life, maybe art imitates life. Asif, Mike, and I have been making this show for years now, and our friendship has also deepened. So I think some of that seeps into the chemistry and for the better, I think. I hope. So yeah, I think you will, but at the same time, they are all on such different paths. I mean, Ben has his is really having a crisis of science, one might say, not a crisis of faith, but a crisis of science. And David is doing this really interesting what do we call it again? The sort of visit. Do you know the term that I'm looking for? Sorry, I'm from the Netherlands, so sometimes English
I'm
words.
drawing a blank as well.
No, well, he's doing that remote viewing. So he's also changing, and I'm having my personal issues. So I think all three of us are our stakes are very heightened, and we
Mhm.
come together in this work and find comfort in each other and laughs and joy and scares, and as what we hope that people watch the show, I hope they also find some kind of comfort in the craziness of this world where you can you can just watch us and have a little excitement, or feel that we're your pals, or that's what we hope.
Absolutely. Talk about how you see Kristen has developed over these past few seasons.
I mean, she started out as somebody who was um had an interesting background of being this climber, and clearly was a strong person and a forensic psychologist. So she dealt with, serial killers and crazy people. So she'd been around the bush.
Yep.
But she she very much was a believer in just science. And I think some of that has changed a little bit, and now is sort of back to that. We saw her maybe flirt with faith a little bit because she couldn't necessarily understand everything through a scientific perspective. But now she just needs to go back to that. And she's trying to very much hold on to those thoughts.
So, how similar are you to Kristen when it comes to skepticism, and does it protect you from getting, spooked or creeped out by the various monsters that you might encounter on set, as you're kind of embodying Kristen each day?
Yeah, I would say I'm quite similar to Kristen in a lot of ways. But I also think as myself that the real world is plenty scary. And even if you just believe in science, you're like, holy shit, we're destroying our only home. And the science is saying that if we don't act now on the climate crisis, we are going to, as people, not be able to sustain ourselves here. And we're going to go into a territory that is scarier than anything, any demon. I mean, I cannot think of a greater evil in this world than the people who knowingly are destroying our livable climate. And I'm talking about the fossil fuel companies who've known since the 70s that what they were doing would have irreversible damage on our habitat. So that being said, I mean, I I think like if science is terrifying where we are right now. Science is also really hopeful because science also tells us what to do about it.
Mhm.
And there are many solutions that we need to, pressure our governments to implement. And billionaires have to pay taxes, and we need to have some climate justice. And so, yeah, that's where I am in it.
Yeah, the existential dread of it all is very real.
Yeah.
The Evil Ensemble works because of the really undeniable chemistry between everybody in the cast. What are some of your favorite behind the scenes moment from filming this last season?
Well, this season we had one particular game that my girls brought in, because the girls are always we've always had like hand claps, and ever since they were little, and also sort of to keep the energy up back when they were really small. It's important that they're energized, and it's part of my job to make sure that they're feeling free, and not uh self-conscious in front of the camera. So we make a lot of jokes, and I play around with them so that they do feel that. And now, they've grown into being these actresses who are just wonderful on their own, and I don't even need to have them at all. But we still do a lot of games, clap games and whatever. And this season we had a marshmallow game that was we've posted some of that on social media, but it went everywhere. Every single cast member had to play this game. And it became quite fun because sometimes, we have these really long days, and it was like a cup of coffee or something. Just the excitement of doing the marshmallow game and getting to 5, 6 marshmallows, that would give you like an energy boost for another 2 hours. You could just go. So yeah,
That's perfect.
it drove Austin crazy. Austin hated it because I think he couldn't do it, so
Should have just done it more then. The crazier it makes people, the more I want
yeah,
to do something.
yeah.
Are there any characters that you wish Kristen could have had more interactions with this season?
Oh, well, we are kind of a little bit hopeful that we might get another season. And so because we're doing so super duper well on the streaming, and
Mhm.
we're 3 platforms at the moment. So we're Paramount Plus, Netflix, but also on Amazon. And these combined numbers have had us in the top 5 for, I don't know, weeks. And we were like the second most streamed show for like a week ago, which is just pretty crazy and very, very amazing. So we're
Mhm.
hoping that, people will see that we're potentially very profitable show to buy.
Mhm.
And so I'm hopeful that the people that I haven't really gotten to play enough scenes with, which is truly anyone, because I also really want more scenes with Mike and Osip, although I've had 1,000 scenes with them. We're just very much still, um, we're all still in love with each other in the project.
Mhm.
So, and I think that I hope that that's what you feel on screen. And um yeah, we would love to make more, and the Kings have said that they would love to make more, and so hopefully that'll happen.
Yeah, I think, we're all pretty hopeful for that series renewal. And, if it were to happen, we can say when just to manifest. What would you like to see Kristen tackle if you could plot out kind of, your own personal Kristen arc?
Well, with I this is might be a lame answer, but with writers like the Kings, the things that they have come up with are so much better than anything I could dream of. What I would like is maybe some more Demon Kristen stuff,
Hmm.
because I find it very interesting, the idea that, for instance, say David and Demon Kristen go on a road trip or something, and Demon Kristen, because I like that character and I think she's much more than, just a girl in a school outfit. I think she actually really wants to be like real Kristen and wants to have love and be loved, and actually wants to move away from, oh, I'm just this object or this thing that he can use.
Yeah.
So I would like an episode of them together going on some trip.
That would
And
be fun.
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
That'd be very cool. Um, are there any mementos or props from filming that you wish you could have brought home with you?
I actually have a few things from set that they gave to me. I have a painting right there, and I have in the bookshelf on set there was this thing that said "Mom Boss." I have that
Mhm.
in my bookshelf right now. I've got some pictures of me and the girls, and yeah, and my chair, the back of my chair that says Kristen. Yeah, so I got things.
Now you've been in a few horror films over the past few years in addition to your work on Evil. What is it about the dark side of the genre that interests or inspires you?
I think it allows us to explore like some extremes of humanity and to process some big questions.
Mhm.
And that's always really fun to play as an actor, to get to go to these extreme places. Um, I don't watch a lot of horror myself, I have to admit, because I'm quite a scaredy cat, but I love acting it.
That's pretty, I've heard that a few times. Don't like
Yeah.
to watch it, but love to perform it. So
Yeah.
I'm not alone.
I mean, I like evil is the right balance of horror and fun for me. Like
Hmm.
I don't like I do like I don't like to see upsetting images. I
Yeah.
do like the suspense.
Hmm.
So eh, yeah, I look away if you see a body cut up. But we don't do that actually on
No,
Evil.
no.
Just in the pilot we had it, and I think actually that made that some people thought like, "Oh, this is too scary," but you have to get beyond that pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other projects have you been working on recently?
Well, I do a lot of climate activism in my free time. Um, and I'm from the Netherlands, so I've been trying to develop a few things there, a few
Mhm.
movies. And I've been writing some things that hopefully will come to fruition at some point. But we came out of the strike before we got back to this, so I
Mhm.
don't really have anything that,
Lined up.
none of us filmed anything. Um, and there's a few movies that I might do back home, and then a few things that I'm thinking about here, but I don't know yet.
Sure. Okay. What would you like to say to fans and supporters of your work? Got a big vocal fan base here with Evil.
Oh, nice. Well, thank you for supporting the show. It makes it so fun to make it, knowing that you guys enjoy it. And I see all the tweets and all the GIFs and everything that people make. Um, and